Hey y'all, it's me, Sol. I have only one rule here. If it's animated, I'll comment on it. You already know that already. You know, in last week's episode, I said the following statement. You know what I'm sick of? Zombies. Well, you know what else I'm even more sick of than zombies? Vampires. And the only solace I get from feeling that way is just the knowledge that most everybody seems to agree with me. It seems like in the past few years, like 5 or 6 years or so, vampires became hugely popular, and it mostly stemmed from that cinematic equivalent of a yeast infection known as Twilight. Sorry. The media that spawned off of Twilight's success, like a grotesque mutant arm, kind of, I don't know, it sort of made vampires, what's the word I'm looking for, shit? Maybe not shit exactly, but definitely lame. I mean, for those years, what I like to call the age of vampiric darkness, I don't actually call it that, but in that age, vampires stopped being badass and started being shit. You know, they were lame. They were more focused on their romantic feelings and their sensitive sides and the pain of being a vampire and all that. But what happened to the vampires of the old days? You know, the Christopher Lees, the Nosferatus, the vampires that didn't sparkle in the fucking sunlight. Well, most people kept asking that question during those years, but it turns out they were looking in the wrong place. What they needed was to turn their squinty little eyes to Japan and take a look at a little anime series known simply as Shiki. So we're making a new addition to this show here, Sol's History Book, because I'm too lazy to memorize my lines. Let's see here, Shiki. So Shiki was originally a novel written by Fuyumi Ono back in 1999, and it was reprinted in 2002. A manga series based off of the novel was illustrated by Ryu Fujisaki and serialized in Jump SQ from December 2007 to June 2011. While an anime series was commissioned in 2010, it was originally going to be animated by Aniplex, but it was made instead by Daume, and it ran for one season consisting of 22 25-minute episodes plus 2 25-minute OVAs. Okay, well, now that the history lesson is over, let's stop studying the fucking book and let's sink our teeth into Shiki. See what I did there? Alright, now, the plot of Shiki involves a secluded mountain city called Sotoba, which has only a population of about 1,300 people. The world pays almost no mind to this village tucked away deep into the depths of the Momi fir-lined mountains, but things get shaken up when an apparent epidemic starts killing off the citizens of Sotoba. The young Dr. Toshio Ozaki takes the helm of trying to unravel the true nature of this disease killing off the denizens of the town, but finds that the truth doesn't lie in the field of medicine, but in the field of the supernatural. Vampires, named Okiogari or Shiki in this series, have begun to work their way into the roots of the town and threaten to turn all of the residents into their kind, who consume the blood of humans for survival. And at the center of all the chaos is a family called the Kirishikis, who move into a large European-style house in the village in the dead of the night. Describing every facet of this anime's story is pretty much impossible without spoiling everything, so I'm gonna stop there with a cursory glance. Trust me though, this is not at all a simple story about vampires killing people. It's intense. Like, stupidly intense. I mean, like a white bread family of 4 camping out during the rainy season at Yellowstone National Park levels of intense. What? Hey, you know what else I'm not going to be doing? Talking about the characters. Why? Because I'll be topping them next fucking July, that's why. There are so many goddamn characters in this series that it's honestly difficult to keep track of them without writing a 10-page essay. I'm not joking, there are around 100 different characters in this series, and they're all important to the story. How about instead of describing them, I just list off their names and their order of importance? No? Well, whatever, I'm gonna do it anyway, so here we go. Natsu no Koide, Toshio Ozaki, Seishin Muroi, Sunako Kirishiki, Megumi Shimizu, Tatsumi, Chizuru Kirishiki, Torimuto, Kaori Tanaka, Akira Tanaka, Ritsuko Kunihiro, Masao Murasako, Nao Yasumori, Seishiro Kirishiki, Kyoko Ozaki, Kanami Yamo, Yasuyo Hasiguchi, and fuck this! You know, I'm not gonna keep doing that. There's still like 9 million pages to go. I'm not spending all day wasting my time with this shit.
Anyway, there are many, many, many more characters beside those ones, and each one is interesting and unique in their own way. Some of them are a little out of place in how silly they are, like Hayami and Masao, but for the most part, the characters perfectly convey every emotion needed in the story, and never once feel drab or boring, with a few exceptions here or there.
Now, you guys gotta understand something. I know I'm not really giving you much information on the series as a whole here, but honestly, I can't really do that without spoiling everything. This is one of the most tightly linear things I've ever seen in my entire life, and to reveal even one thing about it would just spoil everything else. So unfortunately, I kinda gotta keep the details about the plot and the characters and everything just kinda on the down low. With that being said, let's take a look at the good things in this series, because shit dog, have I got a lot to say.
Now, I'm going to start off by saying that if you don't like things like horror, gore, violence, moral gray areas, dissection of religion and superstitions, the decaying of morality, and watching the very worst of man and monster come to life in an orgy of destruction and decimation, then please, go watch something else. You will never enjoy this. But if you're like me and love this kind of stuff, then hey, welcome to the club! You want a margarita made out of children's intestinal lining? Yes, this series has the amazing ability to make you feel like a horrible, horrible person just by watching it. This is a series where there are no winners. It's the Snake Eyes of anime. Everyone fucking loses, and there's nothing you can do about it. The tension is real. The fear is real. The sadness, the heartbreak, the uncertainty, just everything about this anime is so real. Not in a close to reality kind of way, in that just you can tell. You know, you can just feel it there. It's a story in a situation that many, many of us fear in real life, that tells of the ever-present specter of doubt and death that slowly closes in on you, cuts off every escape route, and brings you to the edge of your own limits, in body and in mind. This is not an anime for the faint of heart, or the fogged of mind.
Oh, I think I got a little bit too grim there for my own good. I think I can actually hear people 2 towns over tying their own nooses. But that being said, there's just a metric fuck ton of other good stuff to go on about.
The background designs are exceptionally atmospheric, and the character designs are awesome. Though some of them bear that distinctive, ridiculous anime style, they all look unique, and I will bet you $10 that you can open bottle caps with their chins. I will admit that when I first watched this anime at the tender, naive young age of, 18, Natsuno was kinda my waifu. Yeah, I know, he's a dude, but shut up. Nowadays, though, I find myself more attached to Seishin, not because he's just a pretty face, he's a deep character and fantastically portrayed. Let me tell you though, the absolute best thing about this series is how balls out, smack down, cock-jerking, lawn-mowing, hyphenated crazy it becomes towards the end. The last 4 episodes, plus the 2 OVAs, are probably some of the most sickeningly awesome things you will ever see, and it's totally worth feeling like the scum of the earth just to watch them to the end.
Well, I think I've drooled on about this series enough already. So, that being said, let's take a good look at the bad stuff, too.
Honestly, I really don't have anything too huge to say here. The whole series is extremely tightly constructed. Except for when it tries to be funny. Yeah, this series has so much strength in its depictions of tragedy and gore that when it tries to be more on the lighthearted side, it just feels wrong, like pushing a guy in a wheelchair down a flight of stairs. Some people may find that funny, but I'm sure it'll just make the majority of people feel really uncomfortable. Plus, some of the characters have really, really stupid hair and outfits. I know, it's an anime, but it doesn't stop it from being really silly sometimes. I mean, just look at his hair! How could anyone think that is an okay way to look? The only other thing that I can really think of is, well, her. Shizuka Matsuo. A little girl who talks with a puppet and acts like a mental case. She shows up once, and never opens her mouth afterwards. Why the fuck hell is she needed? She's just so off-putting and different from every other character that I just wonder what on earth could have possessed the writers to include her. If she's from the original novel, then okay, whatever, but still, no matter how many times I watch it, she just doesn't make any goddamn sense.
Alright, well, I think I need to calm down a little bit now, so why don't I just go ahead and pick out a least favorite episode and we'll go from there, okay?
Okay then.
Well, I did mention that this series is extremely linear, and every episode serves the plot in extremely important ways. There's one episode in particular that doesn't quite fit that mold, and that episode is 11th Slaughter. Nice name, right?
In this episode, Toshio is now aware of the Shiki's existence and recognizes the threat they present to the town. He decides to dig up the corpses of the recently deceased and stake them to prevent them from coming back as Shiki, but his friend Seishin does not agree with him, and a rift begins to form between the two. While that's going on, the town shaman Ikumi Ito has also discovered that the Shikis exist, though she relates them to the town legend of the Okiogari, but nobody believes her. I think the reason why this is my least favorite episode is that things are really just starting to heat up in the story, but then, for half the episode, we have to focus on an almost brand new character who, even though you know she's right, you just have to watch her be mentally tortured until she's killed. And while that may sound interesting, it only would be if she was a character anyone cared about, but she's not, so it's time to move on, I guess? Not a terrible episode by any means, but definitely the weakest of the bunch.
Now, if you've already seen this series and you hear my choice for favorite episode, you'll probably think I'm some kind of sadistic bastard or something like that, and actually, hell, you might be right. But honestly, there's one episode that holds the distinction of being the best, and that has to go to the honorable distinction, 14th Death.
At this point in the series, Toshio's wife Kyoko has been attacked by the Shikis and is dead. Toshio decides to hide her death from the others at the Ozaki clinic and waits to see if she'll become a Shiki too. When she does indeed rise, Toshio begins to conduct experiments on her to determine a method of combating the creatures ravaging the population of Sotoba. So, why does having this episode for a favorite make me a bastard? The ending. The depiction of Toshio torturing his wife by experimenting on her shows just how detached he is from his humanity, and it's the first real portrayal of the dead serious moral gray area the show presents. It's actually hard to watch, but that's what makes it all the more fascinating. I won't give away any more here, but if you haven't already checked it out, grab yourself a security blanket and give it a watch.
So, in the end, in the very bitter end, how is this series as a whole? Well, it's ball-bustingly awesome. It's not just the gore and the violence that makes it awesome, it's the moral implications behind the violence, and the very real fear of losing your humanity in the face of death and torment. I give Shiki 4.5 eyes out of 5, which means it's right up there with the greats. It's fucking brilliant. But it's got one or two little things in it that do kind of make the experience kind of bleh. So, Shiki, is it watchable? Unless you're not a fan of horror, gore, violence, and intense and oftentimes sickening imagery, then absolutely. Is it enjoyable? Well, I mean, you may feel like a bastard afterwards, but hell yes. Is it memorable? Well, it is something you can't really forget, like the just inescapable specter of our inevitable death. Good night, everybody.
Hey everybody, thanks a ton for watching the newest episode of EyeofSol. I hope I didn't scar you too much, because I don't want any lawsuits on my ass. If you want to see more of my videos, you can click the links in the video playing right now, you can hit subscribe to follow my channel, and I will love you forever. Or you can click the links in the description to check out my Twitch channel and my Twitter page, and I try to post more stuff on Twitter now, but, you know, I don't have that many random thoughts. Don't forget that new reviews will be up every Friday, so if you want to check it back in for more new videos, you can always feel free to do so. As always, if you have an idea for an animated series or a movie that you want me to comment on, you can scribble a note into the sand, you can fire a message gun into my head, you can leave me a message anywhere on any of my social media platforms or on YouTube itself. I really don't care, just if you want to see something, let me know what you want to see. And because, as always, I will do what you want, so just let me know what you want and I will do it. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you next time.